Right. So I think we are on air now. So yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to this collaborative initiative by Placement Cell and SAIL. SAIL, that is the Student Alumni Interaction Linkage Organization. So and the effort here is to reach out to our alumni for bringing more clarity to the profiles that are offered at IIT Guwahati during phase 1 of placement. So for everyone who's viewing this video, I would like to introduce our guest alumnus today. Her name is Monica Kumalla. She's a student of the batch of 2014. She graduated from the EEE department, and right now she's working at ITC Limited at the Indian Tobacco Division of ITC. So she'll be sharing her insights about the assistant under training program that is offered by ITC. So let's start and hear what she has to say about the program. Hi Monica, how are you?
Hi Manish, I'm good, thank you.
How's the work going on at ITC? How's your induction program going?
Yeah, it's good, it's hectic, but I think we'll go into details as you progress in this on how it is going to be for others who would join it next year.
Right, right. So, first of all, we would like to know what kind of work have you been doing after you've been inducted into this AUT program, specifically about your work.
Okay, so basically ITC has a lot of divisions. So when they recruit you as an AUT, you might go into any of these divisions. To name technical AUTs that go from IITs, basically go into either cigarettes, tobacco, ILTD leaf division, foods, that is your noodles, staples and all of that, or agarbatti. So these are the four divisions. That personal care is one more division. So broadly, these five divisions are the divisions where the AUTs will be posted. I can give you a general opinion of how it happens through. Initially, you will have a common induction program and then you segregate it into your divisional programs. So each division has a different time frame for the training program that they would have. I can give you a overview of what the ITD program would be like. I have a brief idea of the foods program as well. So to start off with, yeah, asking something?
Right.
Yeah. So to start off with, the induction for the foods is around a year or so, and for the cigarettes, for the ITD division, it is around 6 months. Basic idea or the program of any induction is that you go into all the factories of ITC and have an understanding of what the factories function, how the processes happen, and other aspects of how the work practices there are. Before that, I think we should just discuss on what you will find in ITC, because this will all get boring before if I do not come to that part of it.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
So
I think
the next question, as you correctly mentioned, is what you are doing at ITC right now.
okay. Currently, I am in training, so I've been through around 3.5 months of training now. I started off my training at Bangalore factory. So what happens basically in training is in ITD there are two divisions that we have. So we look into each division of how processing happens. So it's more technical for a technical AUT. We learn the machines, the working in depth, in detail. What happens if this screw is not there? To that detail we grilled on technical. We have projects after a learning review is done, wherein you will be working on things like reducing the response time of any machine, trying to solve any defect on particular machine. So it's pretty much technical. So for people who like to work with machines, people who like to interact with and make people work, it's a techno managerial sort of job, because most of the places you have to interact with a lot of people to get your work done. So as of now, I am currently doing a project on reducing the response time of a dryer machine.
Okay.
That's how I am currently working here. As soon as my review would be done here, I'd be moving on to other factories. From here, I'd go to Pune, Munger, and so on. We'd go up to Kolkata before I'd get my posting. So
Right.
that's
So
how
in
I.
the program, you are going to all the factories, and you've been assigned some project for a period of time, and
Exactly.
it's across all the factories. That's
Yeah, you
correct.
would go to all the project, all the factories, run all the processes in each factory,
Okay.
from the work-related practices to the technical stuff, everything.
Right. Right. So that is about what you've been doing after induction into AIT program. We would also like to know about the spectrum of opportunities that ITC offers when they bring this profile to IITs. So,
Okay.
so we would and want to get an idea of where your work fits into this spectrum. So,
Okay.
across all the
So,
divisions.
across all the divisions, ITC has a general plan of this assistant under training converts into a post called assistant manager. So now there is a lot of negative concept attached at IIT Guwahati that ITC job is not a technical job, rather it's a managerial job, which even probably I had before I came in here. But strangely, it is not like that. So the positions that will be posted to once your training is done would detain you. Your position would be an assistant manager, but you would be dealing with other things that are pretty technical. It's managerial because there are a lot of people reporting under you. So if after the training, I can give you broadly 4 areas where people are posted. Firstly, it is called quality. You could be a quality manager who would be leading a team of around 10 to 20 people below you who are far superior in age, who are far superior in work experience. You would be responsible for all the quality protocols that happen in the factory. And at the same time, you would also be responsible for taking out new projects to improve the current scenario of how your factories are functioning. ITC constantly keeps on working on its efficiencies, so there are constantly projects. So any job that you're posted to, it's not like you will just be doing a particular role with a particular set of functions, but you would always have a set of projects that will keep you going, and that also adds up to your performance. So quality is one function. Second function would be maintenance, technical maintenance. So there are huge machines. You can find the latest state of art technologies in the factories over here, be it because it's a manufacturing industry basically. You would find different types of machines. So when you start as a maintenance engineer, that is the post that's called, that is also an assistant manager post. So you would be basically looking into the technical aspects of maintenance, as in kahan pe kya change karna hota hai, how regularly things have to be done. And there'll be again projects on how do you reduce the lead time, the lag times. These terms you would get to use, you would understand once you came into the factory. The third would be a projects engineer post. This is one of the most brightest and shiniest of posts you can get because just 1 year into the factory, you would be able to put up new wind power plants for the company or set up an entirely new manufacturing setup for the company, or you'd work on upgrading existing technologies in factories. So that is called the projects engineer post. Apart from that, you will again have logistic posts. This is one post when if technical students fall into, they sort of tend to feel that it's a managerial job. But any post in ITC is not fixed. You will keep moving across roles. You will keep moving across factories. So broadly, these are the 4 aspects where you could be posted immediately after your training is done.
Right. So, as you had mentioned that it's a techno-managerial profile, and you have clearly stated that there are these 4 roles that you can expect after your induction program is over, in which you can be working on. So, in each of them, how much technical and how much management is what you want?
Yeah, I would like to answer this from every department perspective because that is something that I did not get when we were coming into. Since it's open to 4 departments, mechanical, chemical, electrical, and electronics. So I'd go from my own department because I know a lot of people do not understand what electronics people can do over there. Electronics and electrical, I would say that it is more oriented towards electrical domain. If you like machines, if you love control systems, this is the place to be in because the kind of projects that you can get to do, the way that you can put the stuff that you would have learned in, especially electrical people, power systems. So it's completely usable here. So across profiles also, what we've learned at college is not something you leave back and you'll come, but the basics of what you'll apply to design new systems. And I think that itself is a huge challenge that you can get. So from that perspective, it's not that you will be doing only managerial jobs, sitting ki main quality manager hoon kahin pe, and I don't have any link with what I have studied till now. It's not like that. There are projects where we have done image processing projects to improve the product quality or the product inspection. This is just an example. So there are a lot of areas that are technical, but at the same time comes managerial aspect also because any post that you're posted at, you're 5 levels above the base level of this company. So there are huge people who will be working under you. So that's how it is techno managerial. Going on to the, okay, want to say something?
No, please go ahead. I just
Yeah, so moving on to chemical people, I think entire manufacturing industry, I do not have an idea clearly of other than foods and ITD and ILTD. The entire processing of STEM or the entire processing of food is all based on your thermodynamic laws, the heat application, mass balancing. That's a huge role to play over here. So when you come here, you understand how to make machines work. So as a maintenance engineer, if you're posted, it's pretty much technical. It's more technical than you can ever think of. But at the same time, it's not that your department related job only would be given to you. You could be posted as a logistics IC, you could be posted as a maintenance engineer, or you could be a quality manager. Could be anything depending on how you would engage yourself in your training period. Moving on to mechanical, this is the most important branch that ITC looks for, because it is machines at the end of the day, and the mechanical and chemical people will be very badly scrutinized in the technical interviews compared to electronics and electrical people, because even if I would go down 2 years down the lane to take an interview, I would know more about mechanical stuff, because the company structure of working or the machines or the way that we process is more mechanical in nature. So it's difficult for mechanical people to crack through, but if you really love your subject, if you love looking at and designing, there is an ample scope in ITC where you can prove yourself, and you will be given huge projects. For any of these departments that I've stated, you have huge projects like setting up energy resource plans, setting up new manufacturing plans. At the same time, if you're inclined towards managerial stuff, there is also a scope of taking up normal projects, as in capex projects, looking up how you can speed up efficiencies in this thing. So there are both ways that you can progress in your career in ITC.
Okay. So now we've got some clarity about what kind of profile and what kind of work you can expect in the coming years if someone joins with ITC. Now we would come to the questions that would interest most of all. That what is the placement procedure? So exactly how many steps and what those each steps are constituted of?
Okay, the placement procedure broadly is two rounds. Firstly, there would be a shortlisting process that is done based on your CV that you fill on the AUT form. Now, for the placements, there will be an AUT form on the ITC portal. There'll be some list of questions, and there'll be certain things about your CPA, GP, and all that will be taken into account. Based on that, there's a shortlisting done. I'll come back to what criteria should be there. And then there is a GD round, that is a group discussion round, from which people will be taken forward to interview, which is of 2 rounds. First round is the technical interview, getting passed through which you go to HR interview, though there is not a strict barricade between the two, that this is a technical interview and that's a HR interview. So pretty much that is how the process would go on. And as far as...
Yes.
Yeah, go
so
on.
Right
sorry.
now what we that there is, first of all, you'll have to fill out a form. That is the AUT form. There are a few set of questions. Second is a group discussion, and there are 2 set of interviews, which are both of them would have some aspects of technical and HR. So now, when we would like to know in each of these steps, what are some qualities that these people are looking at, and how do we improve upon those qualities in ourselves and portray them in the best way possible to get selected to the next step.
Sure. So starting off with your shortlisting procedure, where you have to first start off with filling your forms. So firstly, ITC gives a lot of value to your academics. So it's necessary that you have a good GPA. But the minimum required GPA is slightly dicey, but it is better. The better the CGPA, the better chances you have. Moving on from that, it's not that only higher GPA students have a good chance. If your profile overall is good, you have good extracurriculars, you have good sport activities, you have done exceptionally well in some projects that you have done in your summer projects, if the projects have been really good, and you would be definitely given a chance to come out and be taken forward for the other selection processes. So basically, if I have to outline 5 criteria for ITC selection, there would be academics, extracurriculars, positions of responsibility, then your other forms that you have filled out, whatever you have filled out.
Right.
These would add up as a...
there are a few questions about how did you tackle this kind of a situation in the past. So those kind of questions also have a weightage in the selection procedure. In the first step, there are a few subjective questions about through your experiences in the past, explain how you have put mind over matter. That was one of the questions in past years form.
Mind over matter is a very favorite question that I have been questioned so many times with a lot of people. So I think don't take the questions as if they're testing you and then there's a right and a wrong answer to it. They just want to see an opinion. So probably you come up with a fresh opinion, and that would be it for it. So it's just to give a holistic view of how you would look around across when asked from such points. What is your view about such things? So you don't have to actually get so tensed about answering those questions, but just be yourself, think about it, and answer it properly. Do not take it lightly. That is all that I would say. So everything written in the application form is given due weightage. So write it well and write it so that it comes across of what you are. That is what they would want to see before they would shortlist. So any strengths, any weaknesses of yours, kindly do highlight them, and mind over matter, write your perspective of it. Do not get it biased by anybody, and things will be fine. So yeah. And there are a lot of shortlistings also that are done, so people do not feel feared that how many people will be shortlisted. So that is as far as your shortlisting.
People every year who are shortlisted for group discussion round, typically. That's correct.
So typically there are around 60 to 65 people who are shortlisted. The number could vary depending on their requirement, but I think it doesn't vary too much as well. So I think we will have around 60 to 65 shortlistings every year. We do have that. So people need not fear. In the 4 departments, if you have a decent CPI, if you have decent co-curriculars, extracurriculars, decent positions of responsibility, you would definitely make it through. And others who do not have can at least try their luck at putting forward what they had done in these 4 years, because their projects, the way you would have handled your projects, so that would give them an edge.
Right. So coming to the group discussion step, how would you advise people to prepare for this step, and what are the qualities again during the group discussion that the moderator would be looking at?
Yeah, definitely. So starting with group discussion, ITC typically has case studies that are pretty much repeated over year and year, because ITC does not believe on what is right to be said in a GD. They rather would want to see how you would work in a group. As the name pretty much suggests, it's group discussion. They would want to see your group dynamics, because once you come into an industry, you have to work with a team of people, some of them below you, some of them with you, and some of them above you. So they would want to see how you would want to listen to opinions, how you would put forth your opinions, and how much stuff is there and how you can analyze on a particular program. So as far as GD topics are concerned, you can look back into last year's GD topics. There will be the same topics that will be repeated. So if you want to prepare upon them, you can just ponder over the points that are there. What is the right thing to say? What is not the right thing to say? Apart from that, what is looked upon in GD? First thing, if you start first, you get a bonus point in any group discussion because you take the initiative for a start. But it does not mean that 4 people want to start at a time and they start fighting at each other at the same time. Right. So if somebody else wants to start and you also want to start at the same time, give them a chance. Doing this would give you an extra this thing that you have let the other person take the lead. So that's a very good thing, perceived as a very good thing. So after you start, firstly you would be given like around, the GD is usually around 20 to 25 minutes. You are given a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes at the start. That is variable depending on the jury in the GD room, on how much time you would want to read and how much time henceforth you would start to discuss. Most of the times the jury in the room would not tell you to start now. So it's important that you start as quickly as possible, because usually at the end of the GD you have a situation and you have to rank people in terms of who was responsible or whose situations and suggestions were better. So it's better that you end up your GD with a proper conclusion. It's very important, and in a group discussion, try and stick together. You're not enemies of each other. The better that the people are cohesive, the better, the more selections will happen from that group. So a group that will stick together will get placed together. So that's how it is. So so try and be positive. Do not shout with each other. Never speak eye to eye. Never try to contradict somebody when they're speaking. Raise your hand if you're not getting a chance to say. the people will stop, or the jury itself will give you a chance to speak. So speak meaningful when you do speak, and if you're giving a point and people are supporting your point, you get more points for that. So keeping in whole, if you have meaningful things to say, you do not quarrel with people, you resolve conflicts in your GD, you take the first step and you give the conclusion, then there is no way that you would not get shortlisted for a GD. So that is how the GD round is done, and your shortlisting will be done further for the interviews.
That definitely gives a fair enough idea about the group discussion step of the selection process. Okay, now coming to the first interview. So it's a typical opinion that the first, I think, interview is the most important one. That holds a lot of importance in terms of the technical questions that will be asked. So is that correct? And what is your opinion on that? And how should people prepare for the first interview? That is majority.
Yeah, so it's right that technical interviews happen differently for different people. So you would have heard of different things from different set of people. Some people would have come out and said that there's nothing technical in my interview. Some people would have said that there's completely technical in my interview. So that's how I said there is not a clear barricade between interview 1 and interview 2. What they're basically looking for is your ability to solve problems, your ability to focus on what the problem is, and your ability to analyze. Because in any real day situation that they're looking in a factory that they would post you, this is the factors that they would want to look into. So when you go into an interview, be confident, think before you speak anything. Do not say anything arbit. Analyze if given any question, if given any situation, analyze it properly. Say what you feel about it. And most importantly, coming to the technical point, which cannot be ignored, majorly for mechanical, chemical people, because a major chunk in the factory happens in these two areas. So anybody would have a more better idea because they're more related to it. And electronics and electrical people will also be quizzed equally. But a major part would be the projects that you would have done in summers. This is true more for placements because you would have done your most important project in your third year. So the way you write your project in your CV, ITC looks at very focused objectives for projects, focused deliverables. So when you present your project, be very focused on what you wanted to do, how you started, what did you end up with, and what you achieved. If you can put forth your project in these 4 ways, you can drag your interview along the lines of your project and answer questions on that. Since most of us would have worked good in our project, it's easier to answer questions related to the basics of the projects. Otherwise, we would be quizzed on random things, and sometimes that might not go well because the panels could be electronic, they could be electrical, chemical, or mechanical. So the panel, they're all usually distributed evenly. So there is no aspect of being escaped or something. So, but your project would be a nice way to flow through your interview because that is all they want at the end of the day. They want to know that you have your basics intact and you have a good reasoning, analytical power, and you're confident enough to take things forward. So this is how your technical interview would get through.
Right. So as you mentioned, a good strategy to go about this first interview would be to present your projects very well. So in your CV, you should mention clearly what were the deliverables, what was the aim, and how much was the progress. So at the end, what was the output. So if these things here, right.
Yeah, and I would also discourage people from putting their lab projects in the CV because a lot of people who come for interviews are IIT students just 2-3 years into the factory. They know what you would have bluffed in the CV. So do not bluff and write something genuinely because genuineness is something that they look forward for and it's easy to identify when you're faking or not. So do not fake anything and write your genuine projects on the top. So when they look into your CV, the first thing that after they would come from academics, your background, your extracurriculars, they would look at your projects. So if your projects are good and if you can explain them well, they would not want to grill you on your basics then. So that would be slightly, I'm not saying they will not, but there is a more probability that you will ease out through the interview.
Right. So one thing is to present your projects well. Apart from that, can you list out some of the fields from which we can expect questions for each of the majors, for mechanical engineering, for chemical engineering, and for EEE ECE?
So as far as chemical and mechanical people go, I might not be able to outline things for them properly, but electronics and electrical, electronics people concentrate on what your projects might have been on. Image processing is a field that people have a lot of knowledge on. So they would ask questions would be very much on image processing, on VLSI, communication, basic communication, how modulations, different types of stuff. Not much into detail, but they would know about microwave. They would know about communications. That is how electronics and communication is. Signal processing is not something that I have seen people being quizzed on, but basics of communication uh, and VLSI, image processing, these things will definitely be quizzed on in a general aspect. Other than that, if you've taken up your project in a different area, they will ask on that also. And then electrical people, I think most of them are usually questioned on machines, power systems. Manish would be a better guy to answer that than me. Mechanical, I think mechanical chemical people are mostly fluid dynamics, thermodynamics, mass balancing. So all of these are very badly done. So do not tell that your favorite subject is thermodynamics, unless if it is, because you screwed up in the interview. So rather go up with something that you're not confident, you're good at, pretty much. So for mechanical and chemical, I would advise that you pretty much focus on your projects.
Okay.
That'd be an easier way to get the technical interview.
Normally, the level of questions that you expect for mechanical and chemical guys should be more than what we can expect for triple E guys. That's probably the takeaway from.
Exactly. But triple E guys will also be quizzed on motors. They'll also be quizzed on power systems. So that is something that you cannot escape on. You can also be quizzed on control systems. If electronics and electrical will definitely take that course. If electronics people have taken that courses, they're also quizzed on control systems.
Right. Triple E guys have already obviously taken up that course because those are compulsory courses in our curriculum. So yeah, they should prepare for control systems as well.
Yeah, they should look into power system. They look into motors, the basics of motors probably, at least, if not into too much depth. And in general, all these three fields, if they should look into image processing, sound processing, all these things that are the latest of the time. Be in touch with the latest technologies.
Right. So now coming to the second interview, what exactly one should expect out of this interview once he's going into this kind of an interview? That once he's given his technical interview, it has gone well. That's why he's going for the second interview. So now, what should he do once he's entering the door?
So yeah, so HR interview is one of the most interesting interviews that can happen. So you've won half the battle. The rest of the battle is pretty much on how confidently you enter that room. The first usual questions start on with they'll ask you to tell about yourself. I think this is one question you should get used to now, because in any HR interview you would be asked tell about yourself, and it's not at all easy, because I tried first when somebody would ask me tell about yourself, you would look and then you'd be blank. There'd be nothing you can tell about yourself, but yeah, there should be something. So spend some time every day on thinking how you would present to somebody that did not know you. So start off with the kind of a person you are. They're not looking where you grew up, what you did, what you achieved. They're looking at what you are in general. If you're a person who's very friendly, very social. So start up from there, explain about yourself. Then they would come on to the question of your strengths and your weaknesses. So be genuine over here. Do not say like, I have no weaknesses, because even if you do not, that sounds really harsh, because I haven't met without weaknesses. So, but tell any genuine weakness. Don't arbitrarily say that, okay, you would have Googled somewhere ki these are list of weaknesses to maine bol diya. Because they'd ask you, why do you think it's a weakness? How have you worked on it? It's not going to be a negative thing. It's also a good thing that you can analyze yourself and you can list out your strengths and weaknesses. So that's another part of analysis. They would want to know how better you know about yourself through those questions. So there's no right and wrong answers. Just be confident, and as I said, try to portray yourself more naturally, more sincerely, because sincerity and focus are two things that ITC loves, absolutely. If they find that a guy or a girl is very sincere and they're very focused, they would definitely take you.
Right. One specific point I wanted to know from you is that if someone has an MBA or a MS option as a first preference or maybe as a backup, So how much this experience will help him, and like how much should he come out with saying that yes, this is an option for me? Should he say it openly in the second interview or not, or what should be the right step to take? That's
This
it.
is a question I think I should not be answering, but yeah, I think from a logical perspective, if any company wouldn't want to hire people who would leave them and go in 2 years, or say in a year, so I think they would ask you about your future studies definitely. It's your call on how you want to inform them or how you don't want to inform them. I would not actually tell you directly not to do it, but I don't think it's a wise decision to put forward. If you're not clear, tell them you're not clear. If you are, then it's your call to go ahead and discuss on what it is. But at least before you do that, put forward what you're looking to take away from ITC. Because ITC is a place you would get responsibility very early in life. You would do great projects. And if you want to do an MBA or you want to do a startup, this experience would matter a lot. In MBA, at least in India, ITC is even far most important. So if you're looking to get into any decent management school with this experience, they would definitely take you in. And MS, I do not think this is the company that you should work in, because it would require technical projects be done. When you're going with a work experience for MS, you should probably be doing more technical, in-depth technical. Here, the technical stuff is done to suit an industry. So I do not think that will actually suffice to an MS, probably unless it is mechanical or chemical, maybe that too. But mechanical or chemical might help for your MS, but otherwise, electronics and electrical guys, if you want to do an MS, kindly do not go into ITC, because it would be diverging your path and career. It's not like you cannot get back to it, but there would be other companies that you should go and try and do more research-oriented work to do get into an MS. But as far as MBA goes or a startup goes, to understand how things are done in an organization, how focused you should be, how you should carry on your projects, ITC is the place to be in. They'll teach you a lot of stuff. ITC, one big key thing is that they do not hire consults, because they have developed a nature of putting forth projects like consults within the factory, that they never hire consults. So if you're looking forward to switch to a consulting career majorly, ITC is a very good place to start it. And as such in ITC also, the long-term growth or the respect or the effect, the other perks that you get at ITC are also very good. So as far as an MBA and a startup go, ITC is a very nice place to get in, and a very good work experience to work with. You would really relish the kind of projects that you will do here and the kind of responsibility you'll be given.
Right. So, Monica, I think the only thing that is left is about how should one prepare. Are there any specific resources that one can refer to at this stage of point of time, where we are around just 1.5 months away from placement season, or 1 month rather? So, are there any resources that you would recommend for us to go through for preparation of any of the steps that you mentioned before?
In general, I'm a very bad person to answer this question, because I have not prepared my placements, but I have seen my friends get through the same process, so maybe I can give you slight insights onto it. As far as ITC is required, you don't have to learn any coding. Just be good with your basics, and the basics are something you should stick on to. Learn the basics of your courses, learn the basics of your projects. And as far as other companies are concerned, for people who do not have good communication skills, it's time that you work on them. Try and get GDs organized, do the GDs well, and going into technical companies so most of the companies, it's always good to have coding as an option. Kindly learn different languages, kindly learn database management, because that will help you get through other companies. I have seen placement seasons happening, and at the end of the day, it's a bad thing to say, but coding companies are all you will get. It's not usually a fair game in the placements, so do not keep yourself under-equipped in that aspect, especially for electronic students. I would say that every other company that would come would require you to know the basics of C, C++, and if you would have done Verilog, VHDL, so they would definitely want to look into that, and people should know about operating systems and databases and all. So try referring to sites online, which other alumni would be better to suggest to you than me. And just give it your best in this 1.5 months. Do not concentrate for your semester. It will be well, but concentrate on your placements. And if you sit seriously for this 1.5 months with the focus of each step, focus on what all companies you want to do, then look at their procedures of how they want to recruit, idle out processes where you're weak, and look at the places where your strengths lie. So do not work on your strengths for this 1.5 months because the time is small. Work on your weaknesses. If it's communication skills, participate in more GDs, speak out more often. One thing that you can do that will help is arbitrarily just start a topic and record yourself on your webcam and see how you're speaking. So initially it might look awkward. You might seem out of world to people, but it'll help you out a lot. The way you would look to others. Sometimes we would picture that we speaking some way, but it would be intercepted or thought of as in another way. So work on your communication skills. Work on HR questions. Like think about yourself, not for a long time, but before you sleep for 10 minutes probably, just think on what you would say about yourself, your strengths and your weaknesses. It'll help you get through the placement process. So that's all from my side.
Thanks a lot, Monica. I think it has got we've got a lot of clarity about this AUT profile that will be offered in this December at Guwahati. So thank you all for your time and thanks a lot for being here. Okay. Bye bye.
Sure. Bye.